And I'm live. It's the Nazarite, bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. In this week's Torah portion, Beha'alotcha, it's jam-packed with a lot of stuff. There's a lot of judgment and a lot of strife in this Torah portion. A lot of just wrath. There's God, the wrath of God, the fire of God, the harsh, in your face God, and it's difficult to think of God in such terms. The Punisher. The prophets always likened it to a husband and wife or a father and son, two very different and separate relationships with different divine emanations which are attributed to them. But the point is that there's a very close and intimate relationship between the children of Israel and God. And the people who you love are the people who you make an effort for. And it's a very close relationship and kind of interesting because God is unfathomable, untouchable, unknowable. And all we know are revelations, the clothing, the filters. It's, nevertheless, in this Torah portion, there's a lot of judgment and a lot of strife. So I want to talk about a couple of things that happened that have not to do with the judgment and the lesser, the bad things and the death and the plague. I want to talk about the first thing is the second Passover. This is an amazing teaching, and it's all about opportunities and second chances. And it goes like this. During the second year, at the beginning of the second year, when the children of Israel were in the Bible, were in the desert, it came time for the Passover. And there were people who were defiled by contact with a dead body who could not slaughter the Passover lamb. And they came to Moses and they said, look, we really want to do this and be part of the people and of the covenant of Passover, but we've been defiled and we cannot slaughter the Passover lamb. So what are we to do? And Moses says, hold up, I'll be right with you, hold my coffee. Talks to God on the spot, which is an amazing thing. And God says, okay, they can do it a month later. And there are different rules for the second Passover, but somebody who is defiled by a dead body or is on a long journey, and there are intricacies and details there that I won't get into, but it's dead body, long journey, which are interesting things unto themselves, in and of themselves. And you can do it a month later, a month after the original Passover date. Well, the date of the original Passover is second Passover. It's a holiday of second chances and of opportunities. And it shows you that, I think, if you're honest and true, and you make an effort to go for that which you find to be honest and true, then God comes to you. I read in a Breslev teaching that God makes the impossible possible. It's the idea of things that to us would seem supernatural or out of order, but for God that has no nature or order, it's just, okay, so there, now that's doable. Now that's doable because you wanted something, you wanted to be part of something, there was an inconvenience, there was a temporal thing, there was a lack of ritual cleanliness. Not their fault, or maybe fault, right? A dead body. Presumably they had just buried someone, And they said, we want to do it. And God makes the impossible possible, so to speak, and says, oh yeah, sure, they can do it a month later. I mean, when you take that approach, maybe to certain things, maybe to everything, of standing up for what you believe in, these people were defiled, right? Impure. They maybe felt bad about it. And they came there and they did something about it. And once they made their move, God came to them. That divine emanation positioned itself according to their needs because they went with righteousness and with truth and with what they really did want to do. So that's an amazing thing. A second thing I want to talk about is Moses in one of his low points, so to speak. At this point, after a year and some in the desert, he's at a point of desperation. usually throughout the Torah, it's Moses who needs to appease God, where God shows this wrathful, sort of angry face. And Moses says, wait, but what about this? And what about that? And what about that? And he mentions the merit of our, our patriarchs, right? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And the fact that you didn't take them all the way out of Egypt just to slaughter them. Moses says the right things to appease God. And it's really about God showing an angry face in order for Moses to reveal new types of emanations in the world. It's sort of a push and pull kind of thing. And this is what happens here, only it's a bit reversed. Now it's Moses who's putting on this, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. So God says, okay. Take 70 of the people, the leaders and the peacekeepers of the people, 70 of them, and I will appoint them, I will give them some of your Mosesness, some of Moses' splendor, some his spark, the spark of Moses, right? Moses is known as the father of the prophets for this reason. Even though there were prophets before him, he is still known as the father of the prophets. And 70 people were there, and they received prophecy, they received some Mosesness. There were two people, now this happened at the tent of meeting. There were two people who were of this congregation who were supposed to go to the tent of meeting. There are different, I don't think it says in the scripture why they were there. There are different commentaries on why they didn't arrive at the tent of meeting, but they received prophecy in the camp and not where God appointed. Joshua, the Moses' pupil, right, his disciple, he says they're he sees this as an offense. He says they're doing it in the wrong place. They need to be here. They're doing it in the camp. Do something about it in the sense of imprison them. And Moses says, are you jealous on my account? I wish that it were that prophecy would be given to all of the children of Israel. So this is something I want to talk about, the idea of prophecy. I've done several videos on prophecy because I believe it to be something so attainable and something that's in our ability, in our part of who we are, the children of Israel, and to a greater extent, the world. We each have that divine spark, that divine image, that image of God that we are created in. And you could do certain things. Now, this is something you need to attain. You're born with like a blueprint, and you need to attain that image of God through commandments, righteousness, general good deeds, and sound judgment. Because we have the ability to bring such divine energies and emanations into the world, new things, each and every one of us. We can affect real change in the universe, in the physical universe. And prophecy is one of those things where I've been blessed with a few glimmers of prophecy in the sense of dreams that I've had over the years. Not many, but a handful that were beyond a doubt prophetic. And a spark of prophecy, I call it. And I want to make that spark bigger. And I believe it's up to all of us, if we are so inclined, to cultivate that spark, to have it be a vessel. So new divine energies that can only come through us manifest themselves and express themselves in reality. And I hope that we all be prophets of solace and of comfort and of kindness and not of apocalypse or of destruction. That's a part of nature, sure, but I, for one, and I've said this before, were I to attain prophecy, I'd want it to be something wholesome, truly wholesome. That's it. That's all I. And I say that it's for everyone and not just the children of Israel, even though Moses is the teacher of Israel, and even though it's referring here to the children of Israel, and he is referring in his speech and in what he said to Joshua, to the children of Israel. But I'm talking about a time of Eden, of when we were just mankind, before we split up into Israel and nations, before we split up into countries and tongues, cultures. It's not that I'm against multiculturalism or any other multi, but I long for that unity maybe for my own selfish, egocentric reasons. Definitely also for my selfish, egocentric reasons. Because this world is difficult for me to contend with sometimes, and I'm not even doing that much. I'm very much solipsistic in some ways. Prophecy. We were all one. We were just mankind. And then we did all kinds of stuff, and filters had to be created, and barriers had to be built because we were too much of an animal in order to embrace that light, much like we usually can't just look at the sun without it physically hurting us. The sun is the immediate manifestation of the divine in this world. And you need filters. And when you have an eclipse where seemingly God isn't there, then you need the largest and the greatest filters. You know, it's very, there's a lot of wisdom there, but I'll leave that for another time. Right now, I want to bless us all. Oh wait, let's see if was there anything in the chat? Hey, there are two people. Hi there, whoever you are. I'm assuming one of them is my father. Thank you. And the other one, mystery guest. If you want to announce yourself in the chat, go for it. And if not, I will say, fine weekend, good Shabbos, have a restful and blissful and magical weekend. This weekend, this Shabbos is my Hebrew wedding anniversary. So these days it was a couple of days in between. That's why I'm dressed like this, because tomorrow is going to be fun. Marriage is an amazing thing when it works, and in a lot of ways it's amazing even when it doesn't work, but you got to tweak it. You got to always be tweaking it. I need to always be tweaking it. Shabbat shalom. God bless. I'll see you Tuesday.